Welcome back to Cultura en Cash. This is Giovanna Gonzalez, otherwise known as Gigi, or the TikTok influencer, the first gen mentor. On this episode, I am going to focus on a lot of frequently asked questions that I've been getting this past week since my book launched. Before we dive in, though, I want to thank you for a very successful book launch. This whole time that I was writing the book, it was a very lonely process, and there's a lot of self doubt involved. And you don't know if it's going to be well received, if it's going to hit, if people are going to criticize your writing and your thoughts and your philosophy. So the fact that I've gotten, I think last time I checked on Amazon, 62 positive reviews and so much love on all the socials of people amplifying and helping me get the word out. It really, really means a lot, especially since I mentioned on a LinkedIn post for anybody that missed it. I am basically self financing this book. You know, TikTok did help me pay for the cost of publication with the grant, the $50,000, but that money has been spent on my hybrid publisher and my book coach. That money's been long gone, probably since December of 2022. Yeah, it's been gone. So this whole time, any additional book costs are coming out of my pocket for my business. So I'm very, very thankful for any support and amplifying and helping me get the word out. And this a very accessible, low cost resource to the first gen community, specifically first gen Latinas or other first gen professionals. That's why I wanted to write a book, because that's how I learned about money, by reading a bunch of free books from friends that let me borrow their books, or from the library, or maybe I would buy a couple of them myself. But the power of books is real. I know from lived experience, and most people can afford to buy a $20 book, or borrow it from their friend, or check it out from their library. So I'm really, really excited to get this resource out to the community. Let's go ahead and dive into the most frequently asked questions I've been getting. I will start from the most common to least common. All right. So, number one question: what about the audiobook? And I hear you. I hear you, because as a busy entrepreneur, I myself don't really have time to read a lot of books because I'm always doing something. So I very much rely on audiobooks as well. When I walk my dog, or when I'm at the gym, or when I'm walking somewhere for running errands. So I completely understand the need for an audiobook. I am not going to have an audiobook available for you until September of 2024. Most authors release their audiobook and their hardcover and paperback at the same time. I couldn't do that. There's several reasons. I guess I'll tell you the real reasons. One reason is, at first I didn't want to narrate it, because I don't know if you guys have seen Sex in the City, but I have. And Carrie Bradshaw had a really hard time narrating her memoir. And I know from other authors that have narrated their own books that it's very hard. It's narration is a skill. It's not something that anybody can do. So at first I'm like, ugh, I don't want to do this. I'd rather do other things. Let me hire a narrator. And I relied on my publisher to source these narrators. I told them exactly what I was looking for. And unfortunately, they did not understand the assignment. And the two narrators that were picked were just not going to work for my book and my voice, which means I have to get it done. I have to get it done, which now I'm excited to do, especially now how I know well received the book is. And Alejandra Campoverdi, shout out to my good friend Alejandra, author of First Gen a Memoir. She's the one that said, Giovanna, these are your personal stories. This is your knowledge. It needs to be in your voice. And I know now everybody's like, what, girl? You were thinking about not narrating it yourself? I know now it seems wild, but I just had a lot on my plate and I was overwhelmed. But yeah, now I definitely understand the need for me to narrate it myself. And unfortunately, because of my schedule, I won't have a chance to narrate it until May of 2024, which means the book won't be available until September of 2024. Again, the audiobook. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, I would love your support with the paperback version that's available on all major online retailers. But yeah, sit tight for the audiobook. It will be coming, and it will be juicy. It will be juicy when it comes. The next most popular question is, will this book be translated to Spanish? Because I want to share it with my family, or I want to share it with my cousins that live in Mexico. So this is the thing. The book is a money book for bicultural Latinas. So that means Latinas that are either Mexican American, Puerto Rican American, Colombian American, very much that have that bicultural identity. And the reason I say that is because since it's a book for bicultural Latinas, it may not resonate with a Latin American audience that doesn't have any American ties. If anything, I talk a lot about the book, about how money is handled differently in Latin America and it's handled differently in America. So, as bicultural Latinas, we have to find the balance between both. So, personally, I don't think the book would be successful or that it would resonate with, again, a Spanish, predominantly Spanish reader. So, as of right now, there are no plans to translate the book. That would also be an additional fee I'd have to pay to translate the book. But if the demand is there and if it makes sense, it's something that I'm open to further down the line. But at this point, like I said, I don't think that the book, the way that it's written, would be a good fit for that reader. And hopefully, there's other books specifically for the Latin American community. Again, I'm bicultural, so that's why I had to write in a bicultural money approach. So stay tuned on that. But I haven't closed the door on it. But as of now, there are no plans for this book to be translated to Spanish. Next biggest question: how can I get a signed copy? So my Cultura and Cash crew, which were my advanced readers, I got access to my book in December before it published on January 23rd. They got access to the book well back then, and then they also will be getting signed copies for being a part of my street team. So that was a sweet perk that they got. Everybody else, how can you get a signed copy? So there's a couple ways. Way number one would be to order the hardcover copy of the book through my website. If you go to Amazon, bookshop.org, Barnes& and Noble, any of the online retailers, you will see there's only two options to buy the book, which is paperback or the Kindle or ebook version. There is no option to buy the hardcover anywhere else besides directly through me. Why? The reason is because my publisher charges an additional fee to get the hardcover version of the book available on those sites. And I said, ugh, I like this is expensive. I need to do a whole episode on how expensive this all has been. So I'm just like, you know what? Let me keep my own hardcover copies for my own purposes. And I ordered 100 in bulk because I'll be using them to send to VIP speaking clients. But now that I've gotten this interest about signed copies, I'm like, okay, well, I can sell these signed copies to you as a special treat. Honestly, I don't make a lot of profit off of it. It's for me. It's like a sweet way to connect with the reader, and for somebody who really wants a special note from me or an autographed copy that they want to gift to somebody. So that's available through my website. If you go to culturaandcash.com, you'll see a button that says buy signed hardcover or something like that. And for transparency, they're $40, and that covers shipping. So let's see. So yeah, that's the number one way to get a signed copy from me. The other ways you can get a signed copy of your book is by attending one of my live events. So I haven't publicized this yet, so you're the first to know. I will be going on a spring mini tour. I will be hitting LA, New York, New York City, and as well, of course, Chicago. I actually have several events in Chicago. So I live here, so it's easy for me. But yeah, if you attend one of these live events and you bring a copy of your book, I am happy to sign it on the spot. So stay tuned for those dates because we're still figuring. Actually, we know the Chicago one is on February 16th, so mark your calendar. The tickets aren't available yet, but mark your calendar. And then the one in LA is on March 7th. It'll be at Postres. My friend Gabby owns the bakery Postres, and then the one in New York City I believe it's on April 4th with Book Papi at the World's Bureau Bookshop. Again, there are more details to come. Tickets aren't available yet, but at least put placeholders on your calendar if you are interested in that. That is one way to have your book signed by me for free. And the last way to have your book signed would be if you get your organization to hire me to do in-person speaking. So if I go and speak on financial literacy or about the teachings of the book, and your company flies me out to speak, and they also order books for the audience to have as a takeaway, there can be a portion of the event that's a book signing. Or I can sign them in advance. I can get there in advance and sign copies really quick. But it depends on whatever your organization prefers. But that could be another way too. So if you have any connections to your HR department, the training and development department, employee resource groups, that would be a good way to not just get a signed copy for yourself, but also your coworkers or anybody else. Let's see here. Next topic. All right, so we talked about audiobook, we talked about Spanish translation, signed copies. The next question that I get, I think is such a sweet question. People are asking me, Gigi, where do you prefer we buy the book? Where do you make the most money? And let me keep it real, guys. Authors do not make money from book sales. I've asked my publisher to give me a clear graphic where I can share this with you because I just love being transparent with numbers. But if I remember correctly, I think I make a $5 royalty on the paperback. So again, you pay like $18.95, and Amazon gets a portion. My hybrid publisher gets a portion. Fast Company Press gets a portion. The Taxman gets a portion, and lastly, I get $5. So, truthfully, it really, for me, money wise, it doesn't matter where you shop. But I would love you to support independent bookstores because, of course, Amazon and Barnes and Noble, they're these big monsters. They sell cheap books at a discount, and small business owners and bookshop owners have a hard time keeping up with that. So instead, if you have the ability to support independent bookstores, you can go about that in two ways. So you can either, if you already have a local bookshop, small owned bookshop, preferably Latino owned or BIPOC owned, that you can support, you can ask them to have the book in stock. Small bookshops, I mean, unless they're really in tune with like what's going on and what's hitting out there. Like, for example, I only know of two bookstores, bookshops, small business bookshops that have my book in stock. So it's Who's Books in Dallas. So if you're in Dallas, go to Who's Books, and then Book Papi, who is Adrian, and he's in the World's Bureau Bookshop, right? World's Bureau Bookshop, I believe it's called, that I'm having the event with on April 4th. He has my book in stock as well. So if you're in New York City, I believe he's in Jackson Heights, or if you're in Dallas, you can go to Who's Books or to World's Bureau Bookshop to buy the book from an independent bookstore and support a small business, which I would really appreciate that. The small business owners will appreciate that too. It's just good for the community. Or you can request it from your bookstore. Because if they know that there's an interested reader that will come back and buy the book, they will order it. And you just say, hey, I want to buy this book from you, but I don't think you guys have it in stock. It's called Cultura en Cash. Give them the ISBN number. You can Google it real quick and see what the ISBN number is on Amazon. And then that way you can support a small business owner. If you have the ability to do that, that would be really, really appreciated. And then the other way you can support independent bookstores is by shopping on bookshop.org. So bookshop.org is an online retailer, but they have a big pool of money that supports independent bookstores. And you can actually also pick the bookstore that you want the money to go to. Unfortunately, I have been directing people to that website and it's out of stock, which is a bummer because I want to keep sending people there, but the book is out of stock. They're not keeping up with the pace, so ni modo. So again, if you can, I think the best way, unless you're willing to wait and, order on bookshop.org, order it, but know that it'll be delayed a little bit and just be a little patient, then that's helpful. If not, probably go to your closest local bookstore and support it there. The other thing you can also do is you can, I ask you, please, request the book from your local library. Your taxes pay to fund these libraries, right? So let's help get this book out into your local community for free for you to enjoy, or for other readers that don't have the financial means to buy a book to get to check out from the library for free. Please, please. I did not write this to make money from the book, so I want you all to have access to this knowledge and wisdom for free through your library. Again, your taxes pay for it, so you might as well take advantage of that. Usually, you can just Google like your library's name and how to order a book or how to request a book, and you should hit some form, and they'll ask you for your library card number, the ISBN number, the name of the author, the title, all that good stuff, which you can all Google or find on the Amazon page. So yeah, so hopefully that's helpful. And we're about halfway through with this list. I know it's a long list, and I do plan to make social content on this. I think like carousel posts, but it's gonna take me a while till I can put these together. That's why I'm just like, let me hop on the podcast real quick. It'll be quick for me just to kind of go through everything, and then eventually I will answer the questions on social media for people who don't listen to the podcast. But they're missing out if they're not listening to Cultura and Cash podcast. Let's see here. So yeah, we talked about signed copies, preferred places to buy. Um, okay, next one, very very popular too, and I knew this would happen. So now that I wrote a book, everybody's in my DMs, in my email, everywhere they can reach me, saying, "Gigi, I'm so inspired by you. I too want to write a book. How can I get started? Can I pick your brain?" All right. So, as much as I would love to stop doing everything I'm doing and be able to help other women navigate the publishing process, it's unrealistic because I have spent a year and a half working on this project as well as spent lots of money. So, my focus these next few months has to be on my book promotion. I would hope that you would understand that. But I am happy to share. I do plan to do a free, completely free webinar in May. I don't have a date yet. It'll probably be towards the end of May where it'll be a 1 hour webinar. It'll be interactive, and I will share a lot of my teachings of what I learned as a Latina published author, some mistakes I made, some things I would have done differently. Um, so yeah, it'll just be kind of pouring my wisdom into the community for free because we definitely need more diverse voices in publishing. But we need other people who've been through the process to guide us there. So that'll be a free event. It'll be a virtual event. I also plan to do one in Chicago. So if you're in Chicago, I plan to do one with Margarita from Latina Sweat Project. I think it'll be sometime this summer. And I will continue to do free events like that, through panel speaking. But this is one that I will host myself, a virtual event like on Zoom or Google Meet or something like that. So the best way to stay in the know on when that will happen, if this is of interest to you, is to sign up for my free newsletter because that's where I will announce the date and share the link to RSVP. If you go to my link in bio on any of my socials, you'll see the link for sign up for my free newsletter, and that way you can be the first to know when that's available and you don't miss it. There will be a replay for people that can't make it, but I will not make the replay available forever. I'll probably make it available for 10 days. So hopefully you can attend that when the time comes. Until then, I would love to point you to some resources that really helped me. If you like books, a book that really helped me was this book called The Book You Were Born to Write. I forget the author, but if you Google it, you should be able to find it. The Book You Were Born to Write. That one was really helpful and really inspiring. And if you prefer podcasts, of course, I'm going to direct you to my book coach's podcast, Stacey Ennis. Her podcast is called Beyond Better with Stacey Ennis. And honestly, like, I learned so much from that podcast. I have binged every episode. Some episodes, I'm not even kidding you, I have listened to like 5 times because they're just so inspiring and I learned so much. And that's actually why I hired Stacey, because I really liked getting to know her through her podcast, and I saw that we had similar values. But she is very generous with her wisdom, and she also interviews experts in publishing. So I think that's going to be a great resource for you to learn for free in the meantime. As well as my publisher has a good podcast too. So it's called, crap, what is it called? Greenleaf Book Group. Damn it, I'm not going to be able to find it. I'm going to just Google Greenleaf Book Group podcast and it should come up. But yeah, they also interview experts on marketing, publishing, sticking to your writing goals. Yeah, all that fun stuff. There's a lot of moving pieces that go into writing a book. So check out both those resources in the meantime. And then I think we have a couple more questions and we're almost done because I have to leave to have some tacos in a little bit. We're going to have tacos in Lincoln Park. All right. So next, book tour. So yeah, people were asking, are you going on a book tour? I mentioned it briefly. I will be hitting those 3 major cities. So first Chicago, because I live here. Next, I will be in LA, specifically in Bellflower, because that's where, oh, I forgot I have 2 events in LA. I just remembered. So one's still in the works, so it's not official. So yeah, one is in Bellflower with Postres Cafe with Gabby, my good friend Gabby, and then my friend Andrea Casanova. She has an office in Beverly Hills. So she's trying to organize something with me too. It'll be the same week of March 7th. We just don't know the date. We're trying to figure it out. We're trying to figure out the time, all that good stuff. But it looks like I'm going to have two events in LA, which is good because I know that the one in Postres, we're going to have limited capacity. So I'm pretty sure it's going to sell out. So that way you have an opportunity to attend the second event. And then I will be in New York City with Book Papi at the World's Bureau Bookshop. So again, the date for that is on April 4th. Stay tuned. I may be adding more dates. I have a feeling that Texas is coming up soon. There's just a lot of need for the work that I do in either Dallas or in Houston. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. But as of right now, for the spring, that's what I have planned. Uh, Lots of inquiries about speaking. Hey Gigi, the book is out. Talk to us about the book. What can we learn from the book? Come speak to our group. I am so excited to get back to speaking. It's what I love to do. I love to speak and I love to create TikTok videos. Do I love to write? No, I don't. Surprisingly, the writing process was not fun for me. It's very lonely, and I'm a very social person. So it was lonely. I'm glad and I'm proud of the work that I put out, and I'm glad that I put in all that effort and that resource is now out in the community. But it was not a fun process for me. So I am so excited to get back to speaking and being with community, speaking in groups, in large groups. I actually have turned down many speaking events starting April of 2022. Since then, most incoming inquiries, I say, hey, I'm so sorry. I would love to do this event, but unfortunately, my time is being taken up. I'm writing a book and I have book writing deadlines. Let's stay in touch. That's typically my response. I honestly have probably taken on like 5 speaking events since August of 2022 to now January of 2023. And they're usually in Chicago because there's no travel required, so it's an easy lift for me. Or they're just opportunities that I couldn't turn down. So, like I said, I can honestly count on one hand the speaking opportunities that I've taken. So, I really am looking forward to go back to speaking regularly with colleges, universities, employee resource groups. I work with the federal government. I work with credit unions, other financial institutions, anybody that could benefit from financial inclusivity, financial education, career advocacy for Latinos. I speak on influencer marketing. I speak on entrepreneurship and small business. What else? And then publishing. So now, yeah, if anybody's interested in having me speak to their group about being a Latina in a very white publishing industry is definitely something I can share a lot of insights on. If you're interested in that, I have revamped my website. I haven't shared this publicly. So again, you guys in the podcast get the first look because it's easy for me to record. I'm literally in my bed right now in my pajamas. I don't have to do my hair. I don't have to do my makeup. I don't have to like do a carousel. It's just so easy for me to talk. I'm a talker. So let's see here. So yeah, if you check out my speaking page got revamped by my amazing website designer, Project Creativa. Shout out to Jen. If you go to thefirstgenmentor.com, look for the tab where it says book me to speak or work with me, something like that. You'll come across it and you'll see that it has been completely revamped because my other one was outdated. It didn't reflect my new areas of expertise. I also have an updated speaking brochure that you can share with your team if you want something shareable, if you're trying to bring me to speak to your group, as well as a form that you can submit to request rates and if I'm available on this date and if I'm willing to do this topic. So there's a streamlined process to get in touch with me by filling out a form. But first, check out my website and you can learn more about that there. And I did want to mention on the speaking front. So besides being able to buy the book at places like Independent Bookstore, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, bookshop.org, Apple Books, all these different places, if you are with a large organization and you want to bulk order the books, please visit porchlightbooks.com and they offer discounts on bulk orders. So a bulk order is considered anything 25 units or more. So obviously the more units, if you order 100 copies, you'll get a cheaper rate than if you only order 25 copies. So that's something to consider if you're ordering for a large group to save on some of your budget. So that's porchlightbooks.com. And if you look for my book, Cultura and Cash, and all this information is linked on my website. So if you go to culturaandcash.com, all this information will be linked there. And let's see here. Lastly, yeah, I think that's it for the frequently asked questions. I think lastly here, I was going to say, I hope that you enjoyed this FAQ podcast. It was fun for me to finally get these answers out and to be able to direct people here because I'm getting the same questions over and over. And this is a way for me to share more detailed response, right, than to respond to everybody's single DM. Um, but yeah, I would love your support in helping me connect with media. So if you have any connections to media and you can send them my book page or, my website and be like, hey, check out this woman. She wrote a book for financial literacy for the first gen community, for first gen Latinas. I would really appreciate the support. And you all have been great and amazing. I had such a good launch week. The book was a bestseller on Amazon on the first day, which is something I'm extremely proud of, that my community showed up for me. My book launch party, I will share more about that later, probably in a different episode, and I will also share content on it. But oh my God, it was probably one of the happiest days of my life to be surrounded by people that love me and support me in my mission and my big milestone. And I had a big piñata with, I'm sure, I don't think I posted on LinkedIn. I think I only posted the piñata on Instagram. But yeah, I had a videographer, so we have footage. It's coming. We have footage. We filled the piñata with candy, confetti, and $200 worth of gift cards. So it was a good time. People were diving on the floor for the gift cards. I think it took everybody back to their childhood. So everybody had a really nice time. But yeah, I would appreciate in the meantime your continued support by helping me get in touch with any media contacts, any journalists, freelance journalists that would be interested in amplifying my work and my mission, or on me sharing insights on the importance of financial literacy for the Latine or first gen community, as well as career tips for first generation professionals. I mean, it goes hand in hand. And it's also something I speak about on my platforms. And then last item is more of like a housekeeping item. I wanted to be transparent about the frequency of this podcast. So I'm very excited to put this podcast out. I'm sure you noticed I don't have any sort of podcast intro music, outro music, anything like that, because I'm not there yet. All my efforts are very much being focused on the book promo. That will come soon, right? So once the dust settles with the book promo, which should be in May, I should be able to breathe a little in May. I will then pay more attention to the podcast in the sense of doing those little upgrades to make it more professional. But in the meantime, I hope that you're enjoying just these conversational type solo episodes. In May, like I said, I will look into getting intro music. I will also start working with guest podcast interviewers, podcast guests. So I know Janice from Yo Quiero Dinero, my girl Janice. She's going to be the very first one that I'm going to have. We are already in talks. I am so excited to have her on. So that will be coming in the works. So in the meantime, you're kind of stuck with me doing these solo episodes, but I've been told you guys enjoy them, and I honestly I enjoy them too, and I re-listen to them several times because I'm just like, yeah, I like that. We're psychopath, right? Let's see here. So yeah, this in the meantime, again, the format of this podcast will be more casual, more conversational, solo episodes where I will share updates on how the book launch is going, tips, and it will be more formal on me sharing financial education, career tips, small business tips, and things like that come May. But please subscribe and rate in the meantime. I really appreciate your support, and thank you again for helping me make Cultura en Cash a best-selling book. I'm not surprised. We are so hungry for this knowledge. I know from my personal experience, I desperately needed this book, so I am so happy that it's being well received. So again, if you have if you want to learn more, go to my book website. Everything is linked there, culturaencash.com, and feel free to share this episode with somebody who could benefit from this information. But I think that's it for now. Again, subscribe and rate, and hasta la próxima.